everyone, welcome back to Real Money, Real Talk. So today we're going to be talking about your primary home and whether or not it should be looked at as an investment or just improving the quality of life. We have Sandy here to talk a little bit more about this. And
my name is Sandy and I'm an insurance and private equity advisor, and welcome to my channel Real Money, Real Talk.
So I am Gina and I will be your host today. So let's get this video started. So oftentimes a lot of people will think about getting their primary home, and sometimes people will look at it as an investment, but maybe it is actually not the right way to look at it. It is perhaps just to improve your quality of life. So Sandy here is going to talk a little bit more about that.
I'm going to talk about a few reasons why I think primary home shouldn't be not treated as investment. It should see as a more of improving quality of life, how you can use that single house or the ownership of home to be able to utilize the space, the place, how you want to maybe have different activities, enjoy ownership of that home. So number one is talk about the appreciation. A lot of people think that home appreciate over time, so it should be considered as investment. So first one is, I don't think that appreciation is a way to determine it's an investment. You should look at more different aspect, because real estate, would you agree that it depending on the location, right? What's your experience in different location, like how it increase over time in value?
I think generally it should increase over time just because of inflation and things like that. But we do live in a pretty unique city in Canada where real estate has been increasing significantly over the last 10-20 years. But it shouldn't be like this in every single city. Actually, it's probably
Absolutely.
not.
Yeah, so if you think about inflation, cost of living, right, also rising over time, and your salary is not really keep up to date. So it makes a lot more sense. Yes, real estate should be appreciated over time to adjust or correlated to inflation, but also depending on where you live as well too. So in Canada, if you live in like Alberta, like a smaller town home, the appreciation wouldn't be as much compared to some of the other bigger cities such as Vancouver City or Toronto in Ontario, for these places. And also depending on the situation in that location, right? Maybe there's a surge of population increase due to more job opportunities and economic situation in that particular location or overall in that country. So appreciation from a property isn't a reason why you should treat it as an investment. In fact, it really depending on how much appreciation you get. Is a lot significantly more, or is it just pretty much keep up with the inflation?
So what should be the primary purpose of my primary home?
Yeah, so think about the purpose of owning a home as a primary residence, right? The purpose of owning a home is to provide shelter. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, the purpose is actually not trying to get more money from that home. It's actually trying to improve the quality of life where you have more space for your family or for yourself. And then you'll be able to utilize that space within your own control without bugging anyone else or asking for permissions or even for restriction, right? That's the differences of ownership of a home versus when you rent a place, then oftentimes you need to accommodate what the landlord requests you to do so. Owning a home, you have more freedom, more control how you want to do with that type of with that property. So it goes down to, again, the main purpose of providing a shelter rather than actually to look into to give you generating cash flow or even to having a target specific appreciation where you can actually just sell off to get a profit and get a return that way.
So let's talk about some of the downside of treating a primary home as a investment. The carrying cost and the trapping of my money.
That's right. So primary home, why do I say that is not considered as investment? First of all, you are putting a lot of quite a substantial amount of money inside that home, which is becoming illiquid. It cannot generate you cash flow. It cannot necessarily predict what the appreciation will look like, and it all depending on that real estate market, which is the demand versus the inventory at the time that you want to sell. The second thing is you don't have a lot of control, right, when to buy and sell in a way, because you're actually living there for the purpose of shelter, right? The only reason you will sell it cheap is because A, you could not afford it because due to the financial situation change, maybe you got unemployed, or you need to change your career or move to somewhere else. And so it's important to know that ownership of a home comes with high carrying costs, right? Such as maintenance, right? You have to repair roofing, replace maybe like every 10 years, you have to check your water tank, heat hydros. So these maintenance adds up quite a bit. And if you look at it from an investment perspective, it does not have a characteristic of high carrying costs, right? At the very most, and maybe your bank account will charge you just a monthly fee for the account, but again, it's very small, right? Usually like 30 bucks or even a lot less, like $5 a month. Consider it's very tiny in terms of expenses versus owning a home. It can go for 1,000, 2,000 a month, right? Because there's not just the maintenance part, maybe like home insurance, property tax. All these things are considered pure expenses that do not generating money to you in terms of looking at investment perspective.
Here in Vancouver, again, it's a very unique market where a lot of the real estate has been appreciating over time. Understand that appreciation is not guaranteed, is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So yes, real estate over time it does go up, but it's not guaranteed that by the time when you sell, it appreciate the way what you anticipated, right? Real estate market does go in cycle, and it really depending on the local market at city level, provincial level, or even at the country level. So I have seen from client in a situation where I see a home that's in Vancouver City where it appreciates quite a bit, and just a little bit next to the city, and she bought like 10 years ago, and in fact it was negative cash flow. Selling it wasn't a lot profit either, it only increased a little bit, which is 5%. That's not really outpace inflation at all. So it's not just only the location, but you also look at the type of building, right? How old the building is, you know, what the potential appreciation could be. So it's not just blinding thinking that while real estate it's always going to go up, it's completely guaranteed. There's no investment that's truly guaranteed unless you're looking at the GIC. So that's why I would say that don't look your primary residence as an investment. If you are looking to build real estate portfolio, you'll be looking at more specifically cash flow positive type of portfolio where it's actually generating positive cash flow after the expenses, and over time with additional nuggets on top where your equity also goes up over time. That's a called true investment. When you're living in there, it does not treat it as an investment in that perspective because you can't really control when you actually really truly to sell it, right? Most of the time you are selling it because, again, what I mentioned previously with financial stress, so you ended up buying high and then selling low, right, in that case. One thing also to know that from the primary home perspective to be a little bit aware is I always recommend, right, when you own a home, you look at your affordability, right? You don't want it to bid over a stretch too thing where you cannot diversify your investment. If you're gonna be having all your money tied up inside that one single house and you have no extra money to do anything else, you have to cut for your traveling, you have to cut your dining out chances just to own that home. In fact, it's actually not truly improve quality of life. It actually gives you more distress, and appreciation takes a long time too, right? It's not just 1 year unless you're doing speculating type of investments, which I've seen people do buy and sell, using primary residence, trying to get exempt from the tax. I'm sorry, CRA actually could potentially audit you and go after you, as I actually have a client who owned a home about 10 years ago, and then he decided to sell just a couple years ago because the market was great, and then he ended up just renting a place, holding that bunch of cash. And guess what? CRA actually sent out a letter for him asking him that he has to prove that he sold that property even though he lived there for over 10 years, ownership as a primary resident. He had to justify what the reason why he actually sold at the peak of the market, because CRA wants to get fair share. CRA wants to know that you're not speculating it because the market is great. You're selling it because the market is great. They can actually try to treat it as a having you to pay as a considered business income. At the best scenario, they maybe say count as a capital gain. Very worst scenarios, if CRA denies that you have your suspicious that you're actually speculating it, but you're using this benefits as for your towards to using as a speculating type of investment, CRA can actually go after you and not going to exempt that tax-free benefits for you.
CRA will find its ways to get its fair share, and no matter how hard you try.
Absolutely. So now, before you own a home again, is what are you looking for to owning that home? What kind of stuff you're looking to improve quality of life? Do you still have enough cash flow to put aside for emergency fund and further diversify for more different types of investments, so that you're not heavily just very concentrated to your real estate portfolio as a whole. So I hope you enjoyed the video over here. Let me know what you think. What's your perspective? Whether you think the primary home is considered investment or more of as a shelter and improve quality of life. Comment below. I do read every single comment, and I try to reply every one as well too. Remember to smash the like buttons and click subscribe to our channel, so it helps the algorithm, so that we can share our video to more people who want to know more about personal finance.
So thank you for watching, and we will be seeing you next week.